Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to What I Review. It's been a while since I've actually done one. I think it's been a month. Yeah, I had to relax since the last fucking review I did. I think you all can assume why. Don't do this to me, game. Fuck off, honestly. Can I just go in? Oh, just don't do that. Anyway, my name's ZalotAngel and welcome to What I Review. If you're not familiar with my What I Review series, let me just turn that down briefly. If you're not familiar with my What I Review series, I basically find or take interesting games that either I find personally interesting or games that I wish to share and basically help get some recognition. And today I got sent a review copy, I think on Thursday, maybe Friday, I don't know, but I got sent a review copy for, I think you can see by title, Way of the Samurai 3, which, shut the fuck up iPad, which, it's fairly interesting because this game dates back all the way to like the 360 and PS3, like, this came out in 2008, like that's 8 years ago, but kind of no surprise to see it appear on Steam recently since the fourth one, Way of the Samurai 4, appeared on Steam, I think several months ago, probably sometime last year, I think. So it's interesting to see this on here because there's actually a fair amount of things I want to discuss regarding this. Turn that back up. There we go. And yeah, so it is developed by AQURIE Corp. And it is published by Ghostlight Games. Hey, can you imagine? Yes, I got the fourth review copy from Ghostlight Games, so their fourth published game in a span of a year. Fucking hell. They love giving me review copies. Thanks, Ross. But regardless, what is it? It is a kind of, I think you can classify it as, you know, what anybody would say, action adventure set in, I think you can fucking assume, really. I think it's rather easy to assume where it's set. Anyway, options menu, move on to options menu first of all, because there's a lot of things to discuss regarding the performance. And I want to speculate this beforehand. Yes, the version that I have, if you see in the top right of the screen up here, is basically a pre-release build. This game is not out till Wednesday, which I think is the 23rd. The 23rd of March. This game's not out till March 23rd, which is next Wednesday. So I have basically a pre-release build, and I've already been informed that there might be potential bugs and problems and shit that they're still currently working on. So please bear that in mind when it comes to the performance. Second thing I want you to bear in mind is that I am completely unfamiliar with this franchise. I played the fourth one, and I've only played that for a couple of hours, and that was fucking ages ago. So bear in mind if I forget some things, or if I don't point anything out, or if I'm completely missing something that I just don't understand, then there you go. It's because I'm not familiar with this franchise. You can correct me in comment section if I'm wrong. By all means, go right the fuck ahead. But regardless, let's get into options menu because performance is going to be a bit of a doozy here. You have your separate audio sliders for background music, sound effects, and voices. The game is actually kind of loud. I've had to turn this down, not in the actual in-game option, I've actually had to turn it down otherwise. But as I always say, it's good to have separate audio sliders for everything. It's always beneficial. Languages, yeah, of course, languages. Hey, look at that, a game that didn't fuck up the localization. Holy fucking Luya. And then we have controls. Now this is where it comes to the first problem. A problem I hope will be fixed by the time the game gets released. I currently have my Xbox controller plugged in because I prefer playing these kind of third-person games with a controller. It's more beneficial, really. So, there's a problem with this game that I have never seen before when it comes to plugging in a controller. Now, it's currently set to keyboard, even though I keep changing that to controller. Now, if I were to go to that now, okay, and let's say like there, set it to why won't you work? You see, this is the first kind of problem. I have my controller plugged in, so it's obvious I want to use the controller. So it's like, okay, go to here, click it. Do you hear that clicking? It's not working. So okay, let's try enter. Okay, that's not working. Okay, let's hit cancel. It's not fucking working. Okay, so you're probably thinking, is the game frozen? No, it isn't. Surprisingly enough, this game has a weird fucking issue when it comes to the fucking, when you have the controller plugged in. So if I unplug the controller now, which you're going to hear a very brief beep from Windows 10. Okay, if I unplug the controller, and then I hit, and then I press that now, it fucking works now. So then I have to get my controller, plug it back in, and then there we go. It now works with a controller. Bizarre, but that's not the only thing that is bizarre about like the problem this kind of has with a controller, which I will show you briefly here now, and you may see something like a bit different in a review that I've not done before. Now, if you're looking at the screen right now, which yes, I have currently got my webcam on, now you're probably thinking, why has the game crashed? Why is this, as you can see there, it says it's not responding, even though you just literally saw like a few seconds ago that the game was clearly working. Well, this game has a very weird, very, very weird problem with a controller, and that is when you have your Xbox controller plugged in, or whatever controller you're using, if you boot up the game with the controller plugged in, the game flat out crashes every single time you try to boot up the game if you have the controller plugged in. And it's just the fucking weirdest thing. I mean, it's like, how? Like, I don't understand that. It's so bizarre. Now, I know this may seem very, very unprofessional of me to be adding this to my review, adding this to a professional video, when I could just be using the game's capture, but fuck it. Like, my recording software will not allow me to do this sort of thing, and I don't really want to show you my desktop. What? I don't understand, because watch, right? I'll prove it to you. My Xbox controller is plugged in. I guarantee you that my Xbox controller is plugged in. I boot up the game. Okay, just loading up. It's loading up. Okay. Load up. Okay. Come on. Come on, you bastard. Up. There we go. It's not responding. Okay. Now, that happens every single time I have the controller plugged in. Now, listen here. Let me unplug the controller. Okay? There's the controller sound being unplugged. What happens when I hit play now? Okay? Let's see what happens now. The game boots up perfectly fucking fine. AQURIE Corp. Maybe this might be something you might need to fix. Now, I do apologize for that unprofessionalism. I do apologize for that, but I thought that I might have needed to point that out for all of you just to be able to see, because that is honestly quite bizarre that is actually something that affects the game. Yep, I honestly have zero to no idea how that happens. I don't know how a controller can completely stop the game from working. That's literally a new one on me. I've never ever experienced that with a video game before. That is definitely interesting. I mean, it's not like it's a big fucking deal. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's not like it's a massive deal. It's just bizarre that this game has like weird issues when it comes to using a controller. Like I said, with it's just not responding and flat out crashing the game. It's absolutely bizarre in that aspect. But I thought that's something to just point out, because like I said, when it comes to my reviews, I like to point out every little bit of detail, because that's what I fucking do, because that's the whole point of being a fucking game critic. Yeah. Anyway, back to the point. Camera settings, you get your horizontal, vertical. I know some people like, you know, inverted and non-inverted. I kind of swap between them, depending on which. I don't know. You may call me weird. I don't know. It depends on the game, really, honestly. And then we go to the display settings, and yes, again, I hate having to point this out. I play in windowed mode because of my current setup, and because I'm currently in the process of getting a new PC, which is becoming such an arduous task because funds, money issues. Yeah. I've had this PC for like 2 fucking years now. I need a new one. So yeah, I always have to play in this sort of setup because it's beneficial to my current setup as I have right now. Anyway, back off, stop it. Anyway, this is your display settings, and if you may notice, there is a complete and utter lack of any kind of graphical options. You have basic user interface stuff, and bizarrely, there's this option, which is question mark, question mark, question mark. I do not know if this is because this is a pre-release version of the game, or if it's because that's something that I need to unlock by playing the game. I don't know. I honestly don't have any idea. Like, maybe some people might be able to fill me in on what that is, but it just seems weird that that's not there. It might just be because I'm playing the pre-release version. That is likely, but I don't know. If somebody can inform me on that, I'll have to see. Resolution goes all the way up to 1920 by 1080. Again, always good. And this time it actually runs in fucking 1080p, unlike last time. And then if I do that, as you can see, it swaps back and forth between different settings. Now, I have no idea if that completely buggered up the recording then, because this fucking game is touchy as fuck when it comes to its controls. Bastards. Anyway. Next, we have the special settings, which, again, there are these 3 options which are completely hidden. Again, why are they hidden? I don't know why they are hidden. Again, somebody tell me what these are, or inform everybody else what these are, because again, it's been hidden. Insta-kill, auto-parry, and map shortcut. Turn that on, for the love of God. Honestly, you're going to want to turn that on. Don't know what the insta-kill is. Don't know what that is, honestly. I know what auto-parry is. But somebody, if those 3 are supposed to be in the game right now, inform in the comment section, just to be able to inform everybody else, because by the time this video goes up, yeah, well, you can't really tell me now because I'm in the process of making the video and I've probably already made it by now, so I can't really go back and change that. So be sure to inform me, and I'll probably put an annotation right here informing what exactly all this is. So options menu wise, even though it grants you audio sliders, messing around with the UI and 1080p, and goes all the way up to 1920 by 1080 resolution, there's a very distinct lack in the options menu, like I said, with those question marks and just any sort of kind of graphical settings. And not to mention the weird issues that this game has with the controller, like it being very unresponsive, it completely crashing the game as I showed. It's bizarre, and unfortunately, as far as I know, like, the game is currently running at 30 frames per second. Which these sort of games, as I've always said, they should not be running at 30. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not one of those people that says every game should run at 60, but it is better that games run at 60 because it's a much more smoother experience for everybody else, especially these types of games that involve that kind of this level of action and combat. I always say that. But the other types of performance is, so far I have noticed stuttering, I've noticed screen tearing, and I've noticed frame drops. I could do something about the screen tearing, but guess what? There's no VSync. So can't really do anything about that, and I usually have VSync turned off all the time, but I don't know. I don't know if you'll notice the screen tearing. I honestly don't know. It may be YouTube compressor that might show it off thicker than it actually is. I don't know. But like I said, there are frame rate issues and stuttering and screen tearing from what I've noticed so far. And I might be able to actually show you, because some of them are in very distinct locations from where it happens. So I'll be able to show that off. But so far, like, the options menu as it is, I mean, it's, for a game that's from like 2008, I can kind of give it a free pass because it's from 2008. And I think we all know what games were like back in 2008, so I can kind of give it a free pass on the aspect of its options menu. And once we jump into the game, you'll see exactly why I say that, because has this game aged well? Well, you'll have to fucking see for yourself. Now, I shall show off what you do when you first start the game. At the very first beginning of the game, you are allowed to basically create your own samurai. Basically, you get to play samurai. Hooray! Which is interesting. You can pick your difficulty level. That goes from easy to normal. So far, I've tried both the difficulties. And even easy, like honestly, even easy difficulty can kick your ass, to be honest. But I'll just put it on easy just to show you the rest of the things. So, what I was saying about appearance is there is a very distinct lack of customization. In the sense of, when you first start the game, obviously, you get a pick name, so, I don't know, let's just pick some other fucking random, like, fucking, there we go. Tony Stark. His name is, Tony Stark. I think that suits him, don't you think? I think that fucking suits him, you know, fucking... fucking Japanese man called Tony Stark. It's like fucking brilliant. I'm sorry, I'm so immature. Anyway, the lack of customization is basically the way the game works is at the very beginning of the game. Like I said, you can basically play your own little game of let's play samurai, let's dress up samurai, all that bollocks. And when you first start off the game, you are given very, very little customization options. You got 3 different preset heads to pick from. You got 3 preset heads, and you got 3 preset fucking controller, honestly, and you got 3 preset outfits, and don't know what that is. Obviously, you can pick your weapons. There are multiple different types of weapons. Obviously, you got your pole arms, you know, your spears sort of things. You have your katanas, of course, and every weapon obviously is rather different, which I will show off because I have a decent. And this is your safe, where you basically store everything. Of course, you have all your items and your part boxes. And your storage, you got your accessories, but I got fuck all. I can transfer money over, all that shite. And that's basically it. That's basically all you can do regarding the customization. Now, from what I understand, again, people who are familiar with this franchise, you can correct me on this, is you can get samurai points basically, and those samurai points basically unlock new outfits, accessories, different cosmetic stuff. Which leads me to believe it's like you have to go with like one of these 3 presets and just, you know, pick one of these 3 presets and just go with it for like the entirety of the game. So the lack of a customization, right? I'm not saying there's a lack of customization in general. I'm saying there's a lack of customization right off the bat, like once you first start the game. I mean, sure, like I said, it'll probably get more in depth with the customization as you start playing onwards. You start earning more points. Yeah, sure, but I would say right off the bat, there's very little customization to offer right off the bat, which is not necessarily a good thing, because as you know, if you add character customization into a game, you know people are going to try and make the most ugly motherfucker you can see. And as I've always said, when you add that level of character customization, it allows the player to implement a part of themselves into the game, making it a bit more immersive and a bit more engaging. It's kind of another premise towards character creation, as you know, as why it's so appealing. But I don't know. I mean, the fact that you can unlock them further down the line and get more different types of appearances and stuff like that is a beneficial thing. But the fact that you have to literally play through the game as like one of these 3 presets to be able to unlock the rest of the stuff is kind of a turn off, to be perfectly honest, and it's not necessarily a good thing, really. Now, jumping into the game. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm not that far into the game. According to my playtime, it says I'm about an hour and 10 minutes into the game. Bullshit. That's honestly quite bullshit, because I've had to start this game again several fucking times. Because of aspects I will get onto in a momento. I'm currently on day 5. Currently got level up, something like that. My rating is a vegetarian, whatever the fuck that means. And basically the idea is, obviously you got your world map here. If I show you world map, and this is all you've got here. What's there? And this is just starting area. This is basically the Amana world map. This is your first starting area, which you've got more. You've got more down here, of course. And of course you got your local map. You got your profile, which shows you your skills. You know, it shows you fucking so many skills. Honestly, there's so many skills you can learn. Partner, because there is fucking relationships and marriage in these games. And your overall profile. That's not even a joke, that literally is. You got your status, which is basically just, you know, an event log, and then once you pick up a job, which you can only pick up one job at a time, it displays here. When you got your weapons are shown here. And as you can see, I've already got little. I've already got 3. You got your items. You got your parts, which I've already got a weird blade, and I've got a couple of items. Obviously, that poison people, effective. As I said, you got your world map. You got your options menu, which is right there. So yeah, basic, obviously, start menu. The one thing I do not like, though, is the fact that you can't go back to the main menu. If you want to go back to the main menu of the game, you legitimately have to quit out the game. As you can see there, you have to click that, quit to desktop, do the whole bullshit thing with the controller again to get it working, and then boom. But anyway, this is the game. Now, from a graphical standpoint, as I was mentioning, would you say it hold up? I mean, oh, fucking frame rate spikes. This is not the right way. This is dead end. Okay. From a graphical standpoint, if I were to ask you right now, if you were to look at this right now, what would you say? I mean, looking at it right now, what would you say? Would you say it looks alright? Looks pretty decent? Come on, camera, fucking work with me. Work with me. Fucking bastards. I mean, let's have a look at texture quality, because we're going to anyway, you know. Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's 2008. This is a 2008 game. Like, what the fuck do you expect? We're not on Crisis level of fucking graphics here, mate. But yeah, like I said, the, you know, textures, graphics, you know, from a distance, the weirdest part is the game actually looks kind of alright from a distance. It's when you get kind of up close and personal with the textures and shit, like that right there, that you can see that it really kind of, you know, you can see the ugly side of the textures. But to be perfectly honest, it don't look too bad for what it is. I mean, like I said, especially from a game that's from 2008, it decently looks attractive for a game. One sec, I swear, have they turned that off? Map shortcut, left stick, right. Okay, that don't fucking work. Okay, thanks for the shortcut advice there, game, even though the fucking shortcut doesn't work. Anyway, now, the one downside, which many people could argue with, is how big are these areas? Because as you can see, there's about fucking 9 areas. 9? About 8 areas here, and then you've got the additional areas that you can leave upon. How big are these areas? Not that big, to be honest. I mean, if I show you a local map of this place, of the castle, it's not that big, honestly. And all the other places are exactly the same. They're very small areas that add very little to the exploration. That's not necessarily a bad point. If you can render so many areas at once and have so many places you can go to, the size isn't really that important. I mean, if I... again, another good aspect of this game is fast travel. Click on a place, click that, fucking fast travel. Fantastic. I don't care if it's not fucking immersive, have fast travel. I love the fact my iPad always goes off at the worst fucking times. But yeah, I love the fact that fast travel is a thing. It always helps. And as always, you have NPCs that can occasionally wander around, and of course you can interact with all of them. I did not sneak up on you, you literally walked past me, you saw me there. Oh my god. Okay, and this brings me to the next aspect of the game, which is actually really fucking important. And that is choices, dialogue choices. Granted, some of the dialogue choices can be rather bizarre and very fucking peculiar. Compared to... what the fuck? Yeah, and sometimes that can happen where the characters will cut out of the dialogue. So, well, there we go. Well, you can always learn, mate. But yeah, one important aspect about the way of the samurai games is the fact that choices are an important aspect towards these games. And you're probably thinking, how important are these choices, am I saying? Well, let me put it to you this way. And this isn't spoilers, because as I mentioned, this game is fucking 8 years old. Like, come on. The choices you can make have a butterfly effect. Similar to games like Until Dawn. Like, a recent game off the top of my head that quoted this whole butterfly effect sort of thing. But this game is quite... actually, it kind of advertises those aspects of choices and the butterfly effect quite proudly. And I took that up as a challenge. It's like, how much freedom are you providing to the player? And as it turns out, they actually provide a lot of fucking freedom to the player. And when I say a lot of freedom, I mean almost complete freedom. You can, without any sort of like sarcasm, no joking around whatsoever, you can go up to every single major NPC that is in this game and murder every single one of them. That is not even a joke. Every single major NPC within this game, regardless of who they are, be them a leader of a clan, be them an important NPC for the story, it doesn't matter. You can murder every single important NPC in this entire story and take their place. Potentially. And I've tried it. They're not lying. You literally can. The game totes that level of complete freedom. Giving you this level of complete freedom, allowing you to do literally so many things. Like I said, involving killing every major NPC in the entire game, which I don't remember ever seeing a game that's ever let me do that. I mean, you know, like more AAA titles like Fallout 4 and such like that say like, oh, here's some fucking choices you can make. You know, that sort of thing. There's like, here's some fucking choices. And they're usually kind of scripted choices with scripted outcomes. But with this, it's literally like, if you don't like this NPC, kill him. Can I go in here? Yes. Yeah, that's what it's literally like. It's literally, you don't like this NPC, then you can frankly just murder them. If you don't like them. I mean, that's saying much. I mean, compared to like fucking Fallout, if you find somebody you don't fucking like, but you can't murder them because they're an important NPC. This game fucks that notion completely. You can murder every single important NPC in the entirety of the game, and it's actually a part of the game that you can actually do. That is a certain level of total freedom, like complete freedom, I have not seen in quite a long fucking time. In fact, I don't think I've ever seen that level of complete freedom. What the fuck are you doing? Don't know. And that is a great thing. I mean, obviously, I've always been that type of person to love that level of freedom. I mean, it's always a good thing. But that comes up to a couple of the biggest problems that the game has when it comes to the so-called complete freedom. Now, what are those problems? Well, I shall tell you. The problem that these developers seem to have is that they've taken the quote-unquote complete freedom and they've taken it to heart, which is great. You know, like I said, that level of complete freedom is fantastic. But it seems like they've taken it to heart so much that it's punched through their fucking sternum. And you're probably thinking, why is that? Because I think it gives you too much freedom, as you just saw the fucking stutter in there. What do I mean by it provides too much freedom? In the sense that it hides information from you. Now, what do I mean? Well, let me give you an example. As of right now, I am just wandering around just so I can talk. Okay? The game does a fairly fucking poor job of explaining any sort of information to you. Usually it's critical information that you actually need to know. Everything from... sometimes when you're in dialogue, you can pick what I'm essentially calling the Paragon and Renegade options, you know, like from Mass Effect. You know, the red and blue. The game throws these at you right at the beginning of the game with no tutorial on what they are and what they do. Literally, the first thing you do in the game, the first option you get, is to pull out your fucking sword and cut two guys apart. But even if you do that, the game just like it fades out from the cutscene and you are just confused on what to do next. Because the way the game shows you what your story missions are those. You see that exclamation point up there that says Inkling? Which I don't know what an Inkling is. My bad. Social ignorance, like fucking cultural ignorance there, probably. Not social ignorance, it's cultural ignorance. Those are actually, I'm assuming, story quests. Assuming. Because again, the game has not told me that those are fucking story quests. Like I said, if you look down there, it just says Inkling. Are those story quests? Are those side quests? What are they? You know, I'm assuming they're story quests, but fuck it. You know, again, many people could argue that I should know this, and it's kind of obvious, but again, why not just label them fucking story missions then? You know, what kind of immersion? They're probably going for the immersion factor. Fair enough, you know, fucking fair enough. But when I attacked them on my first playthrough, I lost. I got completely lost on where I was going and what I was doing because I had no idea what the hell I was doing. The game did a poor job of explaining anything whatsoever, which was a poor fucking thing to do. Will it do stuttering? Oh no, it didn't do stuttering this time. And yes, you get your own little player house, which you can sleep. Sleep till the morning, please. See if there's new missions. But yeah, the game did does a very poor job of explaining things. And many people could argue with me saying, you know, oh, that's a good thing, you know, it's giving you that level of, you know, complete freedom that I said that I liked. Don't get me wrong, I said, you know, I like my level of complete freedom. You know, I like to be able to, like, be free to make the choices that I want to make. I don't appreciate when the game gives me something and says, here, go, with no clear indication on who I am as a character, what I am doing, what the hell's going on, or anything like that. You get a brief cutscene at the beginning of the game, and that's that. You get just a big text dump of what's going on all that stuff, and that's that. Every other piece of information is just hidden from you. In fact, I was talking about the tutorial a few minutes ago regarding the fact that I haven't mentioned that yet, but the reason why early in the video I was talking about the tutorial and I was saving that for now is that the game literally, like, I'm not even joking, hides its fucking tutorial from you. And you're probably thinking, do you get a tutorial at the beginning of the game telling you what the Paragon and Renegade things do, like, you know, how to fight in combat, or, you know, every aspect of the game? It literally does not. Do you want to know who the tutorial is? It's her. It's her. If you do not attack those guys at the beginning of the game, you get sent to this village. And if you come down here, you know, it's they're basically two guys harassing her. You can either support the guys or beat the living shit out of them or kill them. And if you do so, she becomes your tutorial. Which, if I show you here, see? She is your tutorial. How the fuck was I supposed to know that she was going to be the tutorial? Like, there is no clear indication whatsoever that she is the tutorial. There is no clear indication whatsoever. In fact, when I picked the Renegade option at the beginning of the game, like I said, I could have potentially missed out on the tutorial. I probably could have come here to try and see if it would pop up, but the fact that the tutorial is hidden from you, with no clear indication that she is the tutorial, like, I could have missed that entirely. Maybe, again, it's probably my ignorance to the franchise, the fact that I just don't know. But I'm just saying, compared to Way of the Samurai 4, which you created your character, boom, you started the game, you're on a boat, you land on the pier, boom, tutorial starts, explains to you the combat, explains to you the factions, explains to you the quests, right off the bat, right off the beginning of the game. To which this doesn't really do that, unless you actually, you know, look for it. Which again, it kind of factors into that level of, you know, complete freedom. But at the same time, it's like, you know, you do need some level of clear direction on where to go. You know, you do need the game to at least point an arrow for you. You know, give you a nice little pat on the bum in the right direction. As I said, you know, I'm not a particular fan of people turning around and saying, like, oh goody, I should probably show you some combat here. I'm not a big fan of, you know, games, you know, holding your hand throughout the entirety of the game. I'm not a fan of that. But I do at least want, like, give us a pat on the bum telling us where to go. Give us a pat on the arse, tell us where to go. At least that's fine. You know, That's fucking fine, you know? But, I don't know, it seems to hide some information from the player. And it kind of... It's kind of asking you to just go out there and find it. Which, again, I sure adds that level of complete freedom, but we need some context. You know, we need some context or else people are going to be wandering around lost and just not knowing what to do. Now, I think, since I saved before this, I'll be able to show you exactly what I mean about the whole notion of you can attack major NPCs. Because you can literally be having a conversation with an important NPC. Let me just pick that. I can literally be having an important conversation with an NPC, and then I can just all of a sudden whip my sword out and attack. So this is one of these story important cutscenes. I'll show you what I mean. Jesus Christ. Oh my god, what the fuck is he wearing? Jesus, has he been fucking castrated? Where's his bollocks? Ain't got no dick. What the hell? Do you see that shit? Oh my god, that's hilarious. But I'll show you what I mean. Here's an important NPC. You see that iconic bottom left down there? Renegade. If I pick that now, and I draw that. See? See what happens. I haven't done this yet, so I'm kind of curious to see what happens. What does it look like? Come on. Come on. I'm just gonna pick that. No! I'm not. Oh my god. Oh. Okay, so apparently that So you see what I was saying? You can... Let me just pause there briefly. You can legitimately just interrupt the entire conversation from the game in these important cutscenes and just pull your fucking sword out and just attack. Sometimes, not all the time, but some of the times you can just pull your sword out and just completely bugger up the dialogue and take a completely different route. Like I said, you can murder the fucking every NPC in this game, every major NPC, and completely just change the storyline. Because from what I have heard, there are a total of 22 endings. And I'm not kidding you, 22 endings, which I don't think I've ever come across a video game that, like, in my time of playing video games, I don't think I've ever come across a game that has had that many endings. I don't think I ever have. So that is fucking impressive to have 22 endings. That is certainly impressive. Anyway, this gives me a good chance to show off the combat, which is good, because I've been dying, fucking itching to get some combat done. So, oh, you bastard. Oh, you fucking... What the fuck is he doing? Oh, he got knocked down. Haha, you stupid prick. Now, when in combat, if you press the back button or whatever it is on keyboard, you can switch between blunt attacks and normal attacks. Normal attacks are intended to kill. Blunt attacks are just intended to knock them out. Now, it's up to you what kind of, you know, do you want to be that cold-blooded murderer and just kill everybody you see? Or do you just want to be that kind of passive, oh, you bastard, or do you just want to be like that, Nasake, and just knock them out rather than try and kill? I don't know, it's totally down to you. Now, the way the combat works is if you're assuming for, like, fast-paced combat, you're not going to get it. So basically what you've got here, you've got your standard, obviously, X attack, which is your, you know, you've got your light attack. And you've got Y, which is your heavy attack. And of course you've got a variety of different combos, depending on which way you swing the analog stick, like that. And of course you've got RB to block. And, come on you bastard. Stop fucking grabbing. And if you hold RB and press Y, you'll do a grab. If you hold RB and press X, you'll do a kick. And of course you can do jumping attacks as well, which is like, let me do... Boom, bitch. As simple as that. If you hold the block button and press B, you'll do a simple dodge. You get the idea, basically. That's generally the combat. Yeah, fuck you, I'm trying to kill you. I'm gonna fucking kill this guy. I set out to do that from the very fucking beginning. Come on, you bastard. You see what I mean? Like, he is an important NPC, and I've just turned around and immediately just said, fuck it, you're gonna die. Change weapon. Go on, you bastard. I'm ready for you. Now, as I said, between different weapons have different fighting styles. So, even though I already have one katana, I have a second one. And both of them have completely different fighting styles to each other. Like I said, as you can see, each one has their own different moveset and fighting style. So that's very nice, the fact that you get a variety of different weapons with all of them having their own unique little fighting style to pick from. Which is always nice, you know. It's always nice to have to get new weapons and be able to have, you know, a completely different play style with them. That's a good aspect, you know, because it's always a boring aspect when you be able to, you know, when you pick up a brand new weapon and you're just like, oh, I can't wait to try this out. And then you get it, and it's just like, it's the same moveset as a weapon you've already used or a weapon you've, you know, already tried out before. So it's nice to have that. Oh god, this guy's got a lot of health. Oh, fucking hell. Oh, Jesus Christ. Bear in mind that I am actually playing this on easy as well. Fuck me. There's a lot of aspects to the combat as well that are just fairly difficult as well. Because you can get really overwhelmed sometimes. And I think a couple of aspects to the combat which are kind of like bizarre to me is like the enemy tends to be able to counter your attacks really easily. And hell, even when you're blocking, sometimes you're just given no fucking chance. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes when I go for him, he'll parry me very fucking easily. And that's really fucking annoying. Fuck off, dickhead. You see what I mean? It's just... Bear in mind, I have this on fucking easy difficulty, and I'm having this much fucking trouble with it. Bear in mind, I've got this on easy, and I'm having this much fucking trouble with it. I should not be having this much trouble with easy. But again, I'm not familiar with this fucking franchise, so... I probably just don't know what the fuck I'm doing. That's likely. It's likely that I just don't know and I'm just not experienced with this combat enough to be able to... Oh, fuck. You see what I mean by the parry? It's just... It happens out of fucking nowhere. Sometimes he'll get you just like that. And a lot of these, like, major NPCs that have these, like, ridiculous combat will just fuck you over, like, so much. Because, I don't know, like, they're more skilled than you are. Which, again, you know, fuck's sake, you see what I mean? It's just like, you have no idea that they're going to parry you, that it just... Sometimes it just happens that they just parry you and you've got little to no reaction. You've got no reaction time for it, basically. To be able to do anything to stop it, basically. Fuck, come on. I'm going to kill this guy, I guarantee you. Well, I know you're not going down that easily. Oh, fucking... Oh, fuck me. Oh, come on. You see what I mean? The fact that I've got this game on easy difficulty and the fact that the enemies... They parry you so fucking easily. With no fucking warning. They give you no warning of the parry. And it gives you very little to probably even no time to react to it. And a lot of the time, you don't know what to do. Like, you don't know what to do on the matter. You know what I mean? Yeah, I mean, the combat itself needs some fucking work because it's like, as simplistic as the combat is, unfortunately, it just feels like you have very little control in what you're doing. When the enemy fucking attacks you, they can just overpower you, like, so fucking easily. They can juggle you so fucking easily, and they can completely stun lock your ass. And there's, most of the time, there's just little to nothing you can do to stop it from happening. And I don't know, the combat is, as much as I like the combat, in the sense that, you know, it's not ridiculously fast paced, it's not over the top. It's very simplistic one-on-one fighting. you know, which I do appreciate that. There is actual, as anybody will tell you, there's level of skill when it's one-on-one fighting. I mean, sure, you can take on a massive amount of enemies at once and dominate. Sure, that's impressive, but being able to take on two people one-on-one with nothing but pure skill, yeah, I think it's more impressive to see something like that. And I guess you could say that's basically what the combat could in tow, is a level of skill, more than just button mashing. But there seems to be very little sometimes that you can do, and you can see all the skills that you have in the options menu by checking on each individual weapon, and through there you can check each skills that you know for each single weapon, which is good. But most of the time you'll just get absolutely fucking decimated by who the fuck ever. But again, what you just saw was me completely changing the aspect of the story, a complete butterfly effect. He was a major NPC, and I could have just wiped him off the face of the fucking earth, basically. And that would have completely changed the outcome of the game. You could not do that in something like Fallout, or Bethesda game, Bethesda-style RPGs, you know, unless it's a scripted event. That was not a scripted event, me killing him. I chose to fucking kill him. And the game, you know, it said, fuck it, go right ahead. It's your fucking fault if you fuck up the story, you know? So I like that level of complete freedom that it provides, and that is utterly, utterly awesome that it has that. But if I were to come to a verdict on this game, because we need to come to a verdict now, regarding the PC version, fuck's sake, I went the whole video without flubbing. Regarding the PC version, the performance can be a bit of an issue. I mean, you may have noticed a couple of frame rate issues and a bit of stuttering, and I don't know if you noticed any sort of screen tearing, but I definitely noticed the frame rate issues and the stuttering. So there can be some performance issues there. There is, obviously, as I mentioned, there's the issue with the controller, which is just absolutely bizarre, which I've never seen that in a video game before, like actually that being an actual physical problem that can stop the game from even flat out working, which is always, you know, a fucking issue. And even when you close the game down and reboot it up, you have to fiddle with the fucking controller to be able to get it working, which is just, it's an annoyance more than anything else. That's something that they need to definitely fix before the game's release on Wednesday. Now, the thing is though, can I, as I always do at the end of the video, at the end of all my reviews, is can I actually recommend the game? And that's the interesting aspect, because the kind of vibes I get from this game is I feel like it can appeal to a specific demographic, that it might appeal to a niche. I may be wrong there. Again, don't quote me on that and don't hold me to that, but it feels like it could appeal to a specific demographic, and it might appeal to a niche audience. You know, again, that's not saying anything bad about the game or the people who like the game or this franchise, not at all. But I feel like people who aren't familiar with this franchise, like me, to have jumped into this game, this one in particular, even though I had a hard time getting into it, and I had a hard time figuring out what I was doing, where I was going, where do I fit in with the story, and so on like that. Over the past hours that I've had time with it, I've gradually started to, you know, get into it, and I've started to actually get a bit more immersed into it. But in comparison to the previous one that came out, which is Way of the Samurai 4, which compared to both of them, like I said, both of them focus on an essence of comedy. This one less than the fourth. The fourth one focuses more on its comedy, whereas this one focuses more on its story. Because from what I've heard, the story is short, but as I mentioned, with the 22 endings that it has, it probably does have that level of replayability with the amount of endings it has. Which, you know, yeah, that's a fantastic thing. But I do think that it can appeal to people, but it feels like for new people, new players who haven't experienced this franchise before, might actually be fairly difficult for them to get into it. That I actually found it easier to get into the fourth game than I did with this, because that had the tutorial at the beginning. It gave me a very clear understanding of things, compared to this, where I had to actually put in a lot more effort than usual to hunt around, which again could potentially be a good thing. You know, having to explore and figure it out for yourself, which, you know, with any story is a good thing. Figuring it out for yourself when it comes from a narrative standpoint is always a good thing. But when it's actually like, I don't know any aspects of the game, I don't know how the game plays, I don't know what the combat controls are, that's when the problems arise with a lack of information. But once you actually look around and get in there, you will actually find it. But can I still recommend it? If you are familiar with this franchise, then yeah, I can recommend it. For new players who've not experienced this franchise before, I give all these new players an option. If you want a game to get into and you want it to kind of look good and have a tutorial and a decent explanation right at the beginning of the game, right off the bat, that gives you a very clear understanding, and that, you know, focuses more on its comedy, I'd go with number 4. I'll go with Way of the Samurai 4. But if you want a game that focuses more on its narrative, focuses less on its comedy, focuses more on the player doing the research and looking around and exploring for themselves, I'd go for this if that was, you know, if that was the point. And with that, I would say, yeah, that's basically how I can recommend it. But if you're not looking for any of that, any of those aspects of the game, then I can't recommend it to you. If none of that interests you, and everything I've showed you doesn't interest you, and everything I've said, then unfortunately, there you go. But so that's practically it. That's Way of the Samurai 3. It comes out March 23rd on Wednesday. The price, there's no price for it yet. The price has not been announced yet, so keep an eye on the Steam store page for that, or keep an eye on the developer's Twitter page or whatever, or the publisher, particularly Ghostlight Games as publisher, to keep an eye out for price. And I'll probably update the description for the video, telling people what the price is when it goes live. But yeah, it was interesting game, very interesting, very quirky. I will say it does have its certain quirks to it as well. But regardless, thank you very much for watching. I've been whoever the fuck I've been. This has been, as I mentioned, a very quirky and quite an interesting game that's from 2008, that kind of does things that a lot of AAA games don't do nowadays. That, well, a lot of AAA games claim to do, but this game takes it all the way from fucking like 10 all the way up to like fucking 12, with the level of freedom that it provides you, the player. But that is always a positive thing, even if it might have its hiccups, and even though it punches straight through the sternum. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, and ta-ra your faces.